Thank you, Judge Gideon, for taking this time for the due process. It's very much at the heart of democracy. And I wanted to start by saying thank you to the community that's gathered here. It's amazing. I love you guys. And I also wanted to acknowledge Judge Gideon. I wanted to introduce you to my mother, Teresa, who's right here, and my grandchildren, my daughter-in-law, Hiroko, who wrote you the letter, Hiroko Takashima, and my granddaughter, Madeline, and many other family members. I do want to reiterate what I said on the stand, in that I did not intend to violate the order of protection, even though I disagree with it. I had taken the appeals process, I've gone through the channels that are necessary in order to appeal the usage of that order of protection. And I was one of the I was one of the first of the defendants to go to the local attorneys in Ithaca to have that process begin. I also wanted to acknowledge something else. This is a different theme than what you usually hear from me. And I've never shared this in the court before. Today, I saw Jordan McNamara go over to the World Trade Center Memorial. And I wanted to let you know that my ex-husband, Oscar Flores, worked at the World Trade Center for 14 years at the top. And he had tried preparing for the fireman's exam. And in his preparation, he used to run up the 100 flights of stairs with a 60-pound pack on his back. My children and I, my son Isaiah, who's sitting here, and my son Gabriel, who took baby Claire out, and all my 4 children knew that building intimately. I was at the World Trade Center just days after it happened, and I was breathing in that acrid, burning smoke. We knew victims of that building attack. And when I went over this evening, I was sharing with one of the people that came with me to pray that my arms when I think about it, I get weak. I'm weak right now, that memory of that time. And I knew many other people whose family members were killed, who chose not to walk in fear. They became a part of a group. They became a part of a group called Families for Peaceful Tomorrows. And instead of calling for the drums of war to go and disassemble the country of Iraq and go and have the murder of 1 million people and more be on their hands, they called for us to have peace. Not to attack, but to take the higher road. I ask you, Judge Gideon, to think about the people who are victims of U.S. wars as a result of the United States walking with fear. Citizens are affected by, I need to start over and just say that our policy of attacking people in other countries is not what's going to cause peace in the world. We need to do it and take a different road. And the reason I went to Hancock Air Base in the past, in 2011 and then in 2012, was to call for that peace. Because I am a grandmother, because I'm concerned about our pilots who are sent to go in and do the killing. Judge Gideon, are you a grandfather? You have kids? Okay. We don't want any of our children to go through trauma. Being at the World Trade Center, feeling the weakness that I do when I remember that time, and knowing that attack intimately, and even touching the stones of the 343 firemen that died that are at the base of that memorial, it makes me weak. And I can only imagine what the victims in Iraq and Afghanistan feel, Afghanistan specifically, because of the policy of the drones being used. So I do want to say to you that I am remorseful. I didn't mean to violate the order of protection. I can't afford, Judge Gideon, to leave my mom, whose care I share with my siblings. And as you know from the letter from Hiroko, that my grandchildren depend on me. I was quite startled yesterday when I got in the car to help drive my son to work, because my daughter-in-law gets out later, and I heard from my two granddaughters in the back seat. They said, "Nana, you're important to me." Each one of them, 5-year-old and 3 years old. We need to be there for our children. I do want to say that I feel that there was a series of judicial perversions that bring me before you tonight. First, that I was convicted of violating an order of protection that represents a perversion of its intended use to protect victims of domestic violence. And this order allegedly protects the commander of the military base, who said himself during my trial under oath that he neither knows me or needs protection from me. The real purpose of this order was to stifle dissent in the base, which is a central part of our democracy. Dissent is a part of our history. Second, this order of protection represents a perversion of not only mine, but all of our constitutional rights, every one of us that goes to the base. And I need to tell you another short vignette about an 11-year-old that I've known since he was a baby. His name is Lucian Court Mead. And he came in front of my house the other day and he said, "Marianne, what's going on at the base?" And I said, "Well, Lucian, do you know what a real order of protection is for?" And he goes, "I have no idea." And I said, "Well, sometimes families have problems with violence and someone needs to be kept away from another." And I said, "That's what the colonel of the military asked for, is an order for me to stay away from him." And he took his hand and he went, "They're breaking the law." He said, "Don't they know about not the 3rd, not the 5th, not the 15th, but the First Amendment, freedom of speech and the right to protest?" And I said, "Lucian, would you come with me to share this with the adults in the court?" So I thank Lucian for his clarity. There's a third perversion, and that my jury trial represented a perversion of justice because the jury was forbidden to hear 3 key facts. One is that all the protesters that I voted that day as their press liaison, and I want to underline freedom of speech, freedom of the press, to be able to get the word out as to what is going on in the base. And I don't blame the drone pilots. I blame Obama and the whole chain of command, because it's Obama that leads this. His Kill Tuesday list has got to go, and our young people that are going into work at the base are just, they're there to do the bidding of the military. And I do want to go back to my jury. I don't blame my jury, because they didn't get to hear the full truth. And I even said to one of the jurors at the end of the night, I said, thank you for giving your time and energy to this critical process of due process. I said, that's the thing that drone victims don't get. Instead, they're considered bug swap. Besides the acquittal of the protesters of February 13, 2013, I was acquitted in January for trespass because even the police were confused about the base boundaries. And Chief Master Sergeant Ramsey, who's here tonight, thank you, Michael. I'm grateful to hear from him that the trespass signs were put up just 2 weeks before my May trial. And in the January trial, Chief Master Sergeant Ramsey acknowledged that there's 30 feet of easement that come from the base boundary. And you heard me say in my trial that even though I'm a homeowner, I didn't know that boundaries of properties go out into the middle of a road. So, the third thing that the jury didn't get to hear was that the acting Supreme Court judge, of Syracuse, determined that that same order of protection that I was served was appealed on behalf of Dan Finley, who's here with us tonight. That judge found the order to be invalid because of its vagueness. And then the fourth thing, and also that the colonel couldn't identify Dan Finley or any of us, as he stated during my trial. And the fourth perversion is the reversal of who is the real victim here. The commander of a military base involved in killing innocent people halfway around the world, or those innocent people themselves who are the real ones in need of orders of protection. So I, as a nonviolent grandmother and a caregiver for my own mother, as I prepare for jail, itself a perversion, I stand before you remorseful. I'm remorseful about my own country and its continued perpetuating of violence and injustice. And I ask you to stand with justice, Judge Gideon, the justice that is about love of humanity, the justice that is about caring for the other, and the justice that is about doing the right thing for the children and the old people. Thank you.